It is 5:30. Let's go ahead and call our meeting to order. Cassidy, will you go ahead and do roll call for us, please?
Michael.
Okay.
Julie O's.
Here.
Shelby
Okay.
Poole.
Here.
Brian Sheets.
Here.
Julian Scordoff.
Here.
Nicole Stevens. Here. Jill Valentine.
Here.
Patrick Smith.
Here.
And Jolene, will you read us the mission and vision?
Yes. The mission of WLA is to utilize leadership-based programs and strategies grounded in solid research, combined with the demonstrated success of core knowledge curriculum as a basis of a rigorous overall educational program that builds strong skills in math, reading, literature, writing, music, science, and technology. The vision of WLA is to be a school where students and graduates become exceptional leaders and are prepared to take on the academic and leadership challenges they will face in high school and beyond.
Thank you. All right, I would like to make a motion to approve our agenda for this evening.
So moved.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And I'll make a motion to approve our December 13th, 14th, and 20th meetings from 2023.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Does anyone have a conflict of interest to declare this evening? We have some public comments. So we will go ahead and start with Sarah Worth.
Hi. Should I just stay here?
Yeah, stand up if you'd like.
Stand up.
It's up to you.
It's been a while since I've been aiming for anything in this, but my name's Sarah Weirs. I have 3 kiddos here at WLA, 5th grade and then twins in 1st. Some of you are new faces since I last came and said anything, so hi and welcome to the board. I wanted to talk about high school. I know that's a topic for tonight, and I am hopeful and excited for that to happen. Let's get it going. I think that the sooner the better. And, you know, we know that with expansion of any kind brings growing pains and some hurdles along the way, just, it's gonna happen. I think those hurdles are easier to navigate at the lower grades. It has a bigger impact with the bigger kids and with their education overall. And we wanna do it and do it well. You know, we've had middle school for, I don't know how many years, but a little while now. Seen some growing pains there. You know, things hopefully are continuing to improve. But that's gonna kind of keep going with those upper grades. So to anticipate that, look for where some of those challenges might be, and get it going. Know that there's gonna be some changes and some flexibility for everyone, and do the best that we can, but we got to move forward with it. And then I think, I know there's lots of different options for how it looks for high school with hybrid or all in person or anything. Initially, personally, I don't like the idea of hybrid. And that might just be because it's some of the unknown. But as a parent, I wouldn't want a teenager home while I'm at work and they're home supposed to be doing school. We were just talking about give kids the opportunity to do well or make some not so great choices, and they might make some not so great choices. So it just makes me a little nervous of how many of these kids could be home unsupervised on a hybrid day and what that would look like. But that's, you know, kind of the unknown. So I think I would prefer if it started off very traditional, 5 days a week in school, and as all those growing pains and kinks are leveled out, then look at other options for flexibility. So, thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Thank you.
Carly.
I had emailed Dr. Mortensen after last month's board meeting, and I'm hoping my comment's going to be null and void after seeing this booklet on the table here, but I had thought that 9th grade would be a sure thing for next year, and at the end of last board meeting, I wasn't feeling that from the board. We'd already had the 9th grade enrollment showcase, and the website began accepting enrollment applications for 9th grade as of December 1st. It seems a bit late to pull back on that at this point. I know Mr. Rice had given a presentation, I don't know if it was October maybe. Things have been starting at least on the planning end of things, and I'm hoping, you know, we can put the manpower behind it and just roll it out and get it going. Kind of like Sarah said here. My oldest is in second grade, so I don't have a horse in the game, whether it's next year or down the road. But we've heard that it was happening, and so following through on what you say is really important to me. I did throw up a survey on the parent Facebook page, and just like if people still wanted high school or not at this point. And I don't know what grade students these parents have, but 58 said yes, they do want WLA to expand into high school. 9 said even if WLA had high school, they would send their kids elsewhere. No, there were no reasons. And 3 said eventually yes, but bullying would need to be addressed first. So percentage-wise of those who saw my post and responded, you know, it seems like a hefty amount still do want high school. So if we can get rolling on that, that would be good. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Carly. Dee.
Hello.
Hi.
I am just going to talk about high school as well. I had Giselle, who is 8th grade now, hoping eventually, well, she will be going to 9th grade next year, but hoping that is fair. Yeah, I mean, since kindergarten, this has been a hope and dream, is that WLA would continue to 12th grade. And it seems like we're in the good, in the running to be K through 12. And we're just hoping that sooner than later. I know parents that I've spoken to are excited to get this ball rolling too. And knowing that I have an 8th grader looking into 9th grade next year, we really haven't explored many other options just because we have assumed this was going forward. So just taking that into consideration, I just hope that we have enough information and enough background to, I guess, move forward with 9th grade. And I guess we'll see what happens. But you have my support and a lot of parent support to move forward.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you.
Those of you that came in after I had paper, did any of you guys want to talk? No, you're good? Okay. Just wanted to make sure, give you the option to let them. All right, thank you. All right, so we will move on to our board report. So I can officially announce that Mr. Jonas Bugan, thank you. It's gonna take a while. Has officially accepted, so he will begin with us on July 1st. Kathy and I and he are going to sit down and try and figure out what a transition plan looks like to make sure that all of the things are in place to continue to be successful. I did sit down and visit with him for about 30 minutes. He happened to be at the school I work at, and so we chatted and super excited, but wants to make sure that he leaves where he's at in a good place as well. So he plans to start doing things with introducing himself to families, inviting people in, etc. After July 1st when he starts. So he said to let everyone know that he's excited and looks forward to the opportunity, and we'll reach out to families starting July 1st. So lots of things to talk about tonight with the high school, so I won't go into much more, and we'll move on to Kathy's part.
Okay, good, thank you. I will be sort of short and sweet. I got in here early and spent a lot of time talking with Justin Gehring and Mr. Sheik and Mr. Pounds. I'm not quite as organized as I thought I was. Organizational leadership, you can see there. ADM has gone up a bit since. We have, Cassidy helped me out, 194 open enrollment.
194. That was as of 2 days ago, so I think it's closer to 200.
Okay, so similar to where we have tracked for new board members in years before, so about 200 new. That will close January 31st, and then we'll do the lottery. I think it's the first working day, so that will be next Thursday, February 1st, right? Okay, number 2, instructional leadership. I'm sorry that I told the board that we were going to close enrollment, and we need to revisit that. We need to cap enrollment. It's further complicated by, we have some comings and goings of some students that are abroad. So that's how it looks a little different now this month. I'm recommending that the board cap enrollment as listed there, kindergarten 1st and 3rd and 8th. Also that we cap in 2nd grade at 22 as well as 4th through 7th at 22. Any questions about that piece, or were you able to kind of read and navigate through that ahead of time?
So we'll still be, if there is space, we'll still be accepting new students through grade 7?
Yes, but I think there's only one spot currently open. Okay, financial management, we're on target. I have the S&P Global, I'll meet with them, it looks like in February, discuss where we're at with our bonds. I don't anticipate any problems there. A couple of HR things. We've hired Mr. Logan Daughter as 4th grade teacher and Allison Gustav as a paraprofessional, and they'll both be in the action items. We do need to adjust our school calendar for that early release because the Department of Ed keeps track of all that. And as we flip through there, PTO has the scheduled pancake breakfast. There's another one this coming Saturday to raise money for the Boston trip this year. So be sure to get your family out there. I believe that some of those 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade students, Miss Mason, are actually serving. Yep. Is that right? That'll be fun. Apex, we raised a total of $53,000. WLA gets 55%, so that's about $29,000. So thank you to Dee and all of the PTO parents that really make sure that happens. We've already booked it for next year. I think it's March 29th, Ben, through April 4th or something like that.
Something close to that. I think it's the 24th of March.
Okay.
It's the last week of March and the first week of April.
A 2-week thing. So you guys will be set up for next year, and it should not interfere at all with MCA MAP testing or spring break. So I think we have a good time slot. Thank you to Mr. Sheik. I saw you initialing kids somewhere in the glow stick thing.
It was true.
Mm-hmm. All right, there was a sighting. We had a lot of parents turn out to help with that.
We did. It was great.
Yeah, really, really, really good. We're going to skip the artist in residence piece because I'm backtracking on that a little bit. So Mr. Broderick and I will be talking to the Finance Committee about moving forward with that or not. So we'll get back to the board on that. International Night is coming up, my favorite night. February 5th, I think that is, Dee?
Yeah.
Okay. 100th Day, middle school dance. I've got some things listed for summer planning. And I would like to highlight some things with Jolene. One of the huge things I think we really need to give her kudos for is she initiated the mural in the gym, and I think their last day is tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And again, Mr. Sheik was there taking down bleachers and really moving that forward as the chair of the facilities committee. So it looks great. So I know they're playing volleyball in there tonight at the City of Woodbury.
Yeah.
That's in there, but please, board members, go through there. It is amazing. So kudos to you, Jolene, as well as you, Ryan, and the others who have made this happen. Minnesota Wild did a shootout for fitness assembly, and guess who organized that? Jolene, and that was really great.
Lots of fun. We got free equipment from it as well, so
Yeah.
new hockey equipment for our students for PE class.
It was fun. It was high energy. Jolene has also launched WLA's Archery Club. Her and Harley do that together. Practices started, I think they started 2 weeks ago on Wednesday. And then Jolene, Woman of the Hour, Family Fun Night. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. Monday, the 29th, next Monday, we're going to host Family Fun Night for grades 4 through 8, inviting all families and their students to come in and play pickleball. We're going to do a short lesson at 5:30 for anyone who's interested. All the equipment will be provided. And then from 6 to 7:30, it's open play for families to come and play with each other, get to know each other a little bit better. Student Parliament is going to be selling concessions in the atrium, so there should be plenty of action.
And are they raising money also for Boston with that?
I'm not sure who they're raising money for, but yes.
All right. Awesome. And then a little more about the archery club, for those of you that remember, you wrote a grant for that last year, and they really came through. Plus, another school folded up their program.
Right.
So we have a ton of pretty good quality archery
We
equipment.
do. I actually started this before COVID, and then COVID put everything on hold. I was approved before COVID, so then after we reopened, I had to backtrack and reconnect and get it going again. But yeah, we're very fortunate to have all of the equipment we need to make this a successful club right now, and hopefully a team in the future. So I'm connecting with some other teams to see how that works.
So they'll compete? It will
They'll
be
compete
like
if they
a-
want to, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and technically our students can compete now that are in our club, but we just need to still figure out how that looks.
And what grades? is
Grades
it?
4 through 8.
4 through 8,
Yep.
okay.
We have about 20 students right now, 2021,
Awesome.
but still taking any students that want to stop in and practice their shooting and learn more about how a team would work.
Yeah.
Can you tell everybody when that is?
Wednesday nights
Wednesday
from
nights.
4 to 5.
Awesome.
It's fun for those of you that are going back in history a little bit in your mind right now. It's just fun to see we're really a beehive around here with lots of stuff going on. It's really neat. Okay, and that concludes the director report. Ms. Poole.
All right. I do have a question. What time, if someone wanted to come eat pancakes on Saturday morning, what time would they want to be here? Anybody?
8 to 10?
Applebee's.
Is
In
that
Woodbury.
Applebee's?
Applebee's in Woodbury, right?
Applebee's and Woodbury. Is it 8 to 10?
8 to 10:30 is what I was told to be there for.
8 to 10:30.
And is this the Valley Creek location?
I think that's the only one.
Yeah, the other one's gone, I
The
think.
other, I totally knew that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Do we have anyone from Bergen? No? All right, Jolene, back to you.
Wow.
You're popular tonight, Jolene.
So the financial statement for December 2023, financial report, pardon me. Summary of key financial indicators, the average daily membership, the ADM overview. Our original budget, 754 ADM. Working budget, 742 ADM. And our actual enrollment is 742 ADM. The school's budgeted surplus in general fund for the year is $238,570. The school is budgeting to spend $5,000 out of the community service fund, a projected cumulative fund balance of $2,417,882, or 29% of expenditures at fiscal year end. The school's working budget is projected a surplus of $185,853 at fiscal year end, which would result in an ending fund balance of $2,370,167, or 26% of total expenditures. Projected days of cash on hand is 97 days of annual expenditures. This is above 45 days, meets minimum bond covenants. The projected debt service coverage is at 1.26. This is higher than the required maximum annual debt service, the MADS requirement, of 1.25. Financial statement key points. As of month end, 50% of the year was complete. Cash balance as the reporting period is $1,802,795 and is down from $1,926,832 in the previous month due to regular accounts payable processing, including bus company payments. State aids receivable 22-23 balance is $96,214 as of the reporting period. This balance will be finalized and received by MDE during its review in spring of 2024. The revenues received at the end of the reporting period, 51.8% of the working budget. Expenditures dispersed at the end of the reporting period, 45.9% of the working budget. Other items. The FY original budget was approved at the May 2023 board meeting. The FY '24 working budget reflects updates to legislative updates and staffing changes. The FY '23 audit report was presented during the December board meeting. Administration and Creative Planning Business Services staff will review and working budget to bring to the Board of Directors for approval. Following that statement are the colorful graphs that depict all of the numbers which I just spoke about. And then your balance sheet for those statements as well. Are there any questions that I may entertain in some way?
I would just add that when we go to readjust the working budget later this spring, we've been tracking closer this year than ever, so I think that it will be a minimal tweak to any budget. So we've been tracking very well.
Okay, well, if I may, I'll follow with the finance committee meeting minutes. Our regular meeting was supposed to be January 10th. We canceled it. We were not able to meet. However, we all had reviewed those financial statements with Dustin and asked any further questions in regards to that. And there were no other agenda items. So we decided to proceed from there and plan our next meeting, which will be Wednesday, February 14th at 4:30 p.m. a virtual meeting. Any questions or comments in regards to the finance committee? Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve the December financials and January finance committee minutes.
Second?
All right, there's been a motion and a second to approve our December financials and January finance committee minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, Joe, we'll turn it over to you for the governance.
Yeah, so the governance committee met on January 11th. Rich and Shelby and Mike and Dr. Mortensen and Nicole was unfortunately unable to attend, had to coach basketball. And the topics they went through was to finish up the review of the 500 series. It was determined from the December meeting that policy 531 was good. There weren't any issues there. Policy 533, the updated section 4, and then 541 updated section 2, which is in the packet. And then the student dress code updates. Kathy was going to follow up with the PTO for distributing to stakeholders. That, and then the uniform trade-in incentive program. So I think Mike's going to follow up with that on a potential vendor and give an update in the February meeting.
Yeah, I
That's all right.
actually have that now if you
Oh,
want to.
yeah,
If you want to hear it.
yeah, that'd be
So
great.
I went and talked to folks at Advanced Sportswear in Newport. They handle a lot of the athletic equipment. And it was pretty encouraging, they have access to websites, so it's almost something, a proprietary thing that they have. I think a lot of parents have probably seen those for athletic gear. But you could do the same thing for the school uniforms. And they said that they could build out a product line of a good, better, best. Even if participation was high enough, they're agreeable to inventory some stuff, certainly agreeable to inventory examples of everything for fitting and that type of thing. They talked about if they can do the shirt and the embroidery, which they would be able to do better pricing on it. They would have a tiered product line, kind of a good, better, best product line, which would give parents some choice, and then it's all done in one fell swoop. And they can ship it to your house for a few bucks, or you can go pick it up at the store after you order it on the website. So, what is the turnaround time would be roughly 2 weeks. And, more to come. I think the next thing to do is to talk to them about, okay, what would the pricing on the good, better, best be at the various size levels and flesh it out. But I was encouraged by it compared to what we're doing now. It might be pretty slick to have people have access to a website and just be able to order what they need.
Is this the product we saw at previous meeting?
It's going to be similar. Yeah, it's. I don't know if they have access to that very brand, but they do. And I know this much about sporting, but they seem to rep quality stuff. You know, so I think we would get something very comparable from them.
Yeah, I would agree with your quality comment.
Yeah.
I've used them before for stuff.
Yeah.
Jill, if I can jump in, we did set up a meeting with Mike and Dee and myself for next Monday to discuss the hoodie kind of trade out, the three-quarter neck, the different company, and mainly get PTO and parents' input.
And I think what we do, we can take that in and then we figure out next steps. It might even be a matter of having advance come in and chat with us at a board meeting, whatever the board wants to do, you know, whatever we can reach a consensus on. But I was encouraged by what I learned, you know, when I went down there last week.
Advance, that's the one in Newport.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
Yeah, right by the diner.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So just for clarity, we're gonna phase out using Minnesota embroidery and possibly go to this new company?
We don't know yet,
Maybe,
we're gonna.
possibly.
we're gonna-
Possibly, or maybe is it another option, just either way, or?
Maybe, but we want to get PTO's input, because they've
Sure.
kind of led the charge on that, and I don't want them to, want their input on all this.
Can I ask a question about the hoodies as well?
Yeah,
So this is still in our policy, this hasn't been phased out yet, right?
Correct.
So that Minnesota embroidery is still allowed to sell hoodies, or has someone asked them to stop selling hoodies?
I thought they were
Think-
not selling hoodies anymore, was,
and I just ordered some for my second grader, and it wasn't an option. It was the fleece, full zip, and then those new quarter that we had in the one meeting,
So
so
as
I
far
don't think
as-
it's even
as
an
far as
option
you
to
know-
buy new.
Okay, it's not an option to buy one new.
No.
Right.
I was just hearing words from other sources that they're still available. So I just wanted to check in, because I didn't know where to look either.
At least for us, we ordered from
Yeah.
there, and it wasn't an option on the website.
So someone did follow through with them to ask them to stop selling?
I'm assuming so.
I think Jess Erickson was working
Oh,
on
okay.
that, because she was
Yeah.
talking to me about what they.
I was just checking in, like I said.
Yeah, I know that they followed back, because I asked about getting my son's name on it, just easier if it ends up in lost and found, and they actually said, oh, we'll call WLA to make sure that's still okay.
Yeah.
So, but, and that was actually, the next thing was coming up with a time frame to phase out the hoodies too, because I know we talked about, you know, passing down from siblings and that, and then at some point, is there gonna be a cutoff?
Yeah. Thanks, thank you.
Yeah.
It'll be a collector's item.
Yeah,
Yeah. A robust market for used hoodies.
yeah. So then with that, yeah, so that was kind of the update with hoodies, we covered that, and then policy 902, to revisit in February and follow up with Jess regarding the community use of the facilities. And then the staff compensation for outside duties, Kathy was gonna update the employee handbook and communication to staff. Committee agrees with proposed recommendations. I don't know if Kathy, you have any more to add to that or not, or that's?
I prepared it, we went through it at the meeting, and it looked good, but we want to get the board to look at it as well.
And then second readings to the board for policy 526 and policy 538. So that's been sent and to be read and for approval. And then policy 418 for the drug-free workplace, drug-free schools, and updates to the board for the first reading on that. And then the policy 412 for the expense reimbursement, updates to the board for the first reading on that as well. Future discussions on the annual policy reviews for the 600 series, student dress code, policy 902, and community use of facilities. And then our next scheduled meeting is for February 8th. Anybody have any other questions or anything to add with any of that?
Joe?
Make a
Joe?
motion to approve the January governance committee minutes.
Second?
And there's been a motion and a second to accept the January governance committee minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And then we'll go ahead and make a motion to enter policies 526 and 538 into second reading.
Second.
Second.
Right, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion around 526 and 538 going into second reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We'll make a final motion to enter policy 418 and 412 into first reading.
Second.
Second.
So a motion and a second to enter policies 418 and 412 into our first reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, Ryan, I'm not going to ask you too many questions, but it is your turn.
I don't know, but I can. We talked about that the mural is well on its way. Looks fantastic. Might be 2 weeks till completion. And now, as Jolene said, it's ending tomorrow. Our meeting was earlier in the month. Check was supposed to be cut so the sound panels can be ordered. 6 to 8 week lead time there for delivery. Ryan has Mad Dog on hold for installation.
When was the delivery? Sorry.
The delivery will be second week in February, Monday, Tuesday-ish. Mad Dog is going to get rolling on it right away, more than likely on the 12th.
right.
Take about 3 days to do it, and we'll have some peace and quiet.
Can you give us some sort of a timeline, like the actual times they'll want to work and if there's, how we can work around that?
Yes, I will get you those, absolutely.
Thank you. And what were those dates again?
Second week in February, so I think is Monday the 12th? Yeah, okay, so sometime that week. I said we'll be ready for installation as soon as those things land on our dock, so.
Dance scheduled for them?
The 16th.
That Friday, 16th.
That'll be perfect timing.
Great
How about
timing.
that? Some good sound control come Friday.
How long would it take?
3 days.
3 days.
That's what they're predicting.
And it would be okay to take kids outside? You did that for 2 years straight.
Underwater basket weaving.
Perfect.
Yep.
Right.
We had snow, guys, snowman making or something,
Igloos.
igloos.
We've done that too.
Yeah?
Right,
Yep.
Nordic survival.
Yeah.
With no coats. Tangent.
Mad Dog's being instructed they have to use the wood panels under the scissor lift. Plaques are on order. Tony had a great interactive event for staff and students when he first started. Playground project is progressing. Ben, I believe, is looking to a second quote from a civil engineer, looking at utility placement, site planning, landscape survey, and runoff. Artists in residence with 8th grade students for a movable mural.
Maybe, maybe not, that's on hold.
Okay. This is a facilities project, just a note.
Okay.
Not a facilities project. And that's that.
Yeah. So a couple things. Tony or Mr. Staffke, who's doing our mural list, just real quick for the people tuning in, he was a fantastic person just to have here to do the project. He engaged with the students. He turned it into an experience, and so it was. He's a real pro. So we're thankful for that. The kids enjoyed it. He thoroughly enjoyed it. So it was a great overall experience. So we're thankful for that. So touched on the sound stuff. So that's rolling, and then hopefully we'll have that second bid in for the firm number 2 for the civil engineer. Shortly, and then we'll have to make a decision on who we're going to go with. Both are great candidates. I reconnected with the playground vendor and fired that back up because once we get the green light on the civil engineer firm, it's not going to be long, and we're going to blink, and it's going to be spring, and we're going to want a playground. So we're going to start working towards site prep, and then laying in the new playground after that. So. Things are moving fast, but that project is fired back up. I know it's been paused for a while, but we're talking about it again, so it's exciting. That's all I got.
Ben Broderick might have something to add on. Do you want to talk about the tree trimming? Can we fit that in a quick minute?
We will be having our landscape company coming out and doing touch-up on landscaping around. This winter, thankfully, at least for me, has been really light on snow. And so we were able to adjust some of those things that we had planned in budget for snow removal costs and shift that to trimming up some of our landscaping around our building. So they'll be in and out, touching up the whole facility.
Love that, because we have that tree down. Yeah, we gotta get some stuff trimmed up why it's nice out. Thank you, Ben.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right. All right, so moving on to reviewing the high school launch plans.
Okay, I am so excited. I'm going to say a few things, and then I'm going to introduce our staff here. We're all wearing orange, or we're supposed to be orange and blue. Just for the board, especially you newborn members. We've been working on this for about 3 years. Some of you were involved with getting all the paperwork. It was a massive paper chase. It took us, I don't know, I want to say about 9 months to get all the paperwork submitted to our authorizer, as well as the Department of Ed. A huge amount of planning, and then you go through a series of committee approvals. So all that was done 3 years ago, and WLA was prepared or approved to be pre-K through 12 multi-site school. So that was huge and makes us feel, I'm tongue-tied, I don't know why. That was a big piece. Jolene, were you involved in that as well?
I don't think so.
Okay. Another quick point, we did have the enrollment showcase, which I think, Charlie, were you the one that pointed that out? We had about 50 families that attended that showed demonstrated interest. Currently, Cassidy emailed surveyed all of our current 8th grade families. With those that didn't answer the survey, she then did all of the phone calls. So from that, 17 of our families said yes, please, to 9th grade, and 6 are maybes on the fence, and the rest have other plans, which is also fine. Every family has to make their own decision. I think I limited myself to 4 minutes, so I think I'm going to stop. I want to reintroduce Principal Nick, Principal Ben, Ellen, Autumn, Callie. Autumn, I was going to remind you, if you'd like to bring your chair up. These people have been working very hard. You see the curriculum book in front of you. We're going to do 3 approaches. We're going to talk about licensure, curriculum, and then facilities. So I'm going to go ahead and let them lead, because I think those are the board's most weighing questions. Are we ready for this? I think we're ready for this. We've been preparing this for now 3 years for some of these approvals, but some of these teachers have been working for months on curriculum. Also, last minute to clarify, no, we don't have curriculum sitting in our facility. That button gets hit July 1st. That's when it gets ordered on the next budget. So why don't you guys come up and talk about the work and the excitement, and somebody brought something up about a wilderness trip. We might want to hear about that as well. Come on up, bring your chairs or stand. We would love to hear from you.
Block off the camera. I'm gonna stand over here.
Yeah, come on in. Yeah.
That's where I mean.
All right, thanks for the introduction, Dr. Mortensen. I'm gonna start, and then our crew is gonna all get a chance to share. So again, we're talking about high school expansion. I personally feel like we are in a great place and ready to go. I think that we are gonna have challenges, but they're no different than pretty typical school challenges like we are already facing on a regular basis. I want to start by talking about staffing before I pass it on. Right now, we currently are almost completely staffed to support 9th grade with the people that we have in the building. So in our current middle school, our English language arts teacher is Miss Ellen Hink. So she is licensed 5 through 12, communications and English language, which is the license that you would need to teach all of high school ELA, English language arts. For science, our current science teacher in middle school, Miss Autumn Handel, is licensed to teach 5 through 12. She has 2 different licenses. So one is more of like physical science for middle school, general science for middle school. And then she has a 9 through 12 life science license, which covers the biology graduation requirement credit. And then Mr. Broderick will talk a little bit about OFPs and some other ways that we can fill some other license areas. So generally speaking, I would have my 9th grade students taking a physical science curriculum for 9th grade. So that's a decision that we would have to make as to whether we work with Ms. Handel to do a different licensing for that, or we offer biology to our 9th grade students, which I've done before, and that's pretty easily manageable, and I can explain that if you'd like. After that, our current social studies teacher, Miss Callie Mason, is licensed in grades 5 through 12, all of social studies. So she is currently able to teach 9th grade social studies or all of high school if that was what she wanted to do. Better than she does, but she, 9th grade. So then, right now, what we would be looking at is we need a high school math license is our number one. We also currently have 2 physical education teachers, Ms. Jolene Skordal, Mr. Harley Hazel. They're both also licensed through 12th grade. Ms. Skordal has Phy-Ed physical education, and she also has a health license. Mr. Hazel has a physical education license. However, he could teach health or Phy-Ed, or he could teach like CPR and first aid, a variety of different classes that we would be able to offer to fill all graduation requirements for high school with the licenses that are currently in the building. So the biggest areas of need are mathematics, because we don't currently have a high school licensed math teacher. And then what I'd like to then talk about is world language, since we don't have a world language offering currently. So that I think is pretty common to find less than a 1.0 FTE. So meaning that we may hire a Spanish teacher or whatever language we want at like a 0.25 or a 0.5 employment. Because we may not need a full-time world language teacher that first year. Actually, I don't think that we do. Part of my original proposal talked about what sort of online offerings we could have to support the license areas that we don't have in the building. But we can also talk about, like I said, these less than full-time employment agreements. So that really hits us. We also have our music teachers are currently licensed through 12th grade. And then, we can talk about I don't know our art current license, that's what I don't know. But we have, we wouldn't need that for 9th grade. We could either offer music as an elective. So we pretty much have the licensors that we need. We might need to do a little bit of licensing. Can you talk about like how OFPs work and like how easy that is or not easy it is to do? And you're the expert on that.
First off, I'm really happy to hear Mr. Rice kind of speak to this, because as Kathy was talking about, this has been multiple years kind of in development. And back when we were submitting documents 3 years ago, one of the things that we were talking about at those meetings is proactively hiring in preparation for when this day comes. And that's really coming to fruition with all these wonderful licensures that you're hearing about. So in times past, maybe we have hired a staff member that's licensed in middle school through high school, and we've needed to kind of go through the out of field permission, which is an OFP, in order to cover some of the other areas, because an elementary teacher can teach all subject areas, whereas a middle school teacher and a high school teacher has a specialty area. So we have in the past had OFPs for maybe a 6th grade teacher to teach one science class. But part of that was us proactively hiring staff that include licensures that get us into this high school program. So as Mr. Rice said, we have a lot of these licensure areas covered. If we run into a situation where we do not have the appropriate license in that area, but we have a licensed Minnesota teacher, the Minnesota Department of Education allows us to apply for something called an OFP, which is an out-of-field permission. You can do that up to 3 years in succession with one district. That's their way of saying, hey, you've done this for 3 years now, you probably should have been working on getting this license in this area. One of the things that they have adapted for this year, actually, that they kind of put into place is they used to have a posting requirement for those positions. So if I wanted to get a WLA staff member, an OFP, to be able to teach one course of some subject that's not in their licensure area, we would have to post it online through EdPost or through another posting site for a minimum of 75 days. This year, they have went to a format where if it's not a full-time employee, if it's a .25 employee or under, your posting requirement is waived. So if we needed for like Ms. Handel to teach a science class, a singular science class that was out of her licensure area, we could apply with MBE for an OFP for her, that she could teach that single course that was outside of her licensure area. So that is a way for schools to use high quality teachers, use them in areas that maybe are outside of their licensure area for short periods of time. So you're not forced to necessarily hire another FTE and then try and figure out where else you're gonna put this person during the day. Because if you only need a .25 for a world language or a .25 for an art, it's one way is to do it in-house by going through OFPs.
How do we arrive at the .25? Is it the number of classes total, or do they have some course?
Yeah,
You estimate the hours of
they
prep
take
time?
they take your full course of day. So a full day employee would be a 1.0.
Yeah, so
right?
it's 8 hours, I'm assuming, right? Or,
Yep.
okay.
Right. If a teacher were to teach over their prep period, because we provide a prep period for a teacher, they would actually go above a 1.0. They would go to a 1. I don't know, Dr. Morrison, if you know if it's 2, 1.2, for however many hours they are over that time. So they basically, do a division to figure out how.
Yeah.
I've done it different ways over the years. So most commonly would be like you're teaching one class, it's 1/8 of our schedule. So you come in for that hour of the day and we're paying you that portion of the salary in 8. Those people generally aren't getting our benefits and things like that. So it's a little bit, there's some money things there. But I've also done it differently where sometimes I might do a .25 where it's not first period every day, but they might only be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or something like that.
And I don't think this, I'm just assuming that we're gonna have to document or substantiate this.
It's super common.
Yeah.
Very common, yeah.
Yep, and it also, it eases you in the hiring process, because if you're really looking for a .25 employee or a .5 employee, that's sometimes difficult to come by, right? Because people want to be a full-time employee.
That was actually my follow-up, is for people that wanna do that, do they wanna be part-time, or are they trying to piece together four .25 jobs so they
You
can-
find on occasion someone that it works well for, it works good in their schedule to do, like Mr. Rice said, maybe a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday person they need every Thursday, Friday, and it just so happens that works in the school schedule. But I would say that that's more rare than putting an FTE, a full-time employee together using some of these partial blocks like we're talking about.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also
Thanks for the
see it
additional color.
commonly with like specialty teachers. So sometimes I see art or music where I'm an artist, but I also could use a paycheck. So I teach for 2 hours each day, but then after that, I'm an artist out in the world, creating art and selling it. So some people kind of balance their life that way.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the additional color, that helps.
Absolutely. Dr. Morrison, you
I
raised
just-
your hand nicely.
Yep, just want to add that, let's say we need a .25 Spanish teacher.
Yep.
That could easily change into a full-time, because we can also do that as elective for some of the younger grades. So some of this will work out well, especially as we grow.
Yep. Any other questions about licensure or anything that we can cover a little bit further for you? In regards to licensure.
And this process that Mr. Broderick is describing of having teachers applying for these permissions that are out of their general field is also very common in schools.
Thank you.
All right, so next we're gonna turn it over to some of our amazing teachers. We're gonna talk about some specific curriculum that they have been researching and that they would plan to be teaching next year to our 9th grade students.
I can go first, my stuff's at the beginning. But I'm Autumn Handel, I'm the 7th and 8th grade science teacher. This is my 3rd year here at WLA. And in your little booklet, if you go to page 3, that's where I started putting my things about curriculum for 9th grade. But the 9th grade Minnesota State Standards focus on earth science, so I was looking at different curriculums And I would personally recommend the Glencoe Earth Science curriculum for ninth grade. The ninth grade curriculums these days tend to be based on NGSS science standards, which are a national standard. And luckily, the Minnesota state standards are based on NGSS, so this would align very nicely. And as I looked at it, they have both digital options for this curriculum as well as physical textbooks. And it provides a lot of nice resources like teacher PowerPoints and things of that nature, online learning spaces. So I really think it would be a strong curriculum to get us started with. And before we started doing core knowledge in middle school, because we just started getting curriculum released in middle school like last year or two, we used stuff from this company and I personally quite liked it, so I think it has a good reputation as well. But then after page 3, starting on page 4, I started listing all of the different Minnesota ninth grade standards and whether or not they're covered in this curriculum. And I also included the standard alignment chart, which begins with this colorful page, if you find that one, if you're interested. Lots of flicking. But that lists all the different standards that are covered in this textbook and in this curriculum. And so I've listed whether or not the Minnesota state standards are covered in that alignment chart. So there's only 3 out of 21 standards that are not explicitly covered in this curriculum. One of which is the Minnesota Native American standards, which Minnesota provides some stuff for that as well. So there would only be 2 standards where we'd have to either create or find supplemental material. But other than that, it's very well aligned with what the Minnesota state standards would be. And then I also flipped way past that. After that alignment chart, I just included one example project that you would do in this curriculum so you can see kind of what that would look like. But it seems like a curriculum that's very project-based, that gets students to kind of be responsible for their own learning, very hands-on. And it seems like it'd be a very strong curriculum to start out ninth grade with.
Love it. For those of you that aren't aware, our curriculum coordinator is not here with us. Yeah, she's hopefully having the baby pretty quick here. And she's very supportive of all of the teachers' efforts. She's been working with them behind the scenes. So she loves the science piece, how well it fits. So that was a big one. I mean, a nice fit with the national science standards. So, thank you. Who's next?
I'll go. I'm Ellen Hink, I'm the language arts teacher. I'm on page 12 is what it says, but I don't think it actually is page 12. Go to the one that says high school language arts.
Page 12 of my package.
I'll be honest, Megan and I put most of this together, but we did come up with the novels and the projects. As you probably know, the language arts standards are they aren't like check boxes. You can't just go and check them off like math or science are. So a lot of these standards you cover throughout everything that you do in language arts. So there are some new pieces to it with the 2020 standards that will be adopted in 2025. But most of that it has to do with like covering diverse voices and then also including the indigenous story that we would do for our informational text. Anyway, IXL would be also what I would use for our writing and grammar. If you're not familiar with IXL, it's an online kind of software that each kid has their own unique login for. And then I can control like what standards they're focusing on there, and there's just a bunch of practice questions, and you set the percentage that they need to get to. So I'd say you need to get 80% to prove proficiency, or you need to get 100% to prove proficiency on this standard. And then I'd highlight it on IXL, and then they can practice it for as long as they could answer 400 questions until they reach that percentage, and then be checked off for that being mastered. So I have used it before in previous schools. I appreciate that it makes them show proficiency and mastery by percentage. It's not just here's 10 questions and then move on. The rest of it, the novels pieces, would be me creating the curriculum for. I've done it before. I've taught all the way from littles to 12th grade, so that's not really a problem for me. Yeah. I don't know.
Can you
Any
talk
questions?
about how themed literature and works in classroom text sets and how does that look?
Yep, so we mostly have classic or contemporary novels that we would do in 9th grade. And it seemed like Megan was focusing more on American lit because it ties into the social studies of 9th grade. So most of the stories that we decided on, which is on page 23, I don't know if it's actually page 23, but it says page 23, 9th grade language arts, units of study. There's a list of 7 kind of units that we do, and the last one would be by choice for the students. And you can see that there are classics on there that you've probably heard of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, To Kill a Mockingbird, but then we also put some more modern text in there, and I think a couple of them would be very, very good at addressing the new standards that talk about diverse voices and identity, especially Monster by Walter Dean Myers there, and then also that Dakota Anishinaabe people informational text. Oh, and then I've been teaching core knowledge, so it does kind of follow the core knowledge. One thing I would say that I've noticed is missing is presentations. So 9th grade, I would like to focus a lot more on getting students up in front of the class and speaking and working on presentations and projects together. Questions?
Looks great.
I'm sorry, I have a quick question on that. As we grow then 10th grade, do you foresee it being the same thing where it's just always going to be a teacher-created curriculum? Do you think that
That is not unusual
Some
for
point.
high school language arts. In fact, I've never been at a school where there might be a textbook that you pull short stories or units from, but I've never been to a high school where there's a set curriculum for language arts. It's always been up to the teacher to create the curriculum. There are definitely writing curriculums though, so if that was something that the school would want to adopt, there's definitely a curriculum you could buy for specifically writing.
One quick comment. It just fills me with joy to see the Latin and Greek roots.
Yes, morphology,
I'm
for
well
sure.
into my 50s now, and I still remember that stuff because it does help you understand what words mean.
Yes, absolutely.
That's definitely a curriculum.
Yes.
And I was a high school teacher for 10 years, and then I've been a principal of a high school or a assistant director for 8 years, and that is how my language arts high school teachers have also built their curriculum.
I like the classic, the contemporary. I like the roots, I like the projects, the presentations. I think it's perfect.
And all the stuff about critical reading, that is such a huge deal in the information age, is to be able to decipher fact from fiction.
Yes, and IXL has I'm gonna go off on IXL, but IXL has these in-depth reading standards that they do, and it really does help them, because they try to skip it, but then they get it wrong, but anyway. So they actually learn how to read, pull out the pieces they need, and, try to achieve the 80% or whatever it is.
Alright, so I'm Callie Mason, I'm the 7th and 8th grade social studies teacher here. This is my 4th year here at WLA. So my information starts on page 26. So mine's a little different because social studies can be moved around than it always is. But I've gone off the idea of doing U.S. history for 9th grade instead of the standard 10th grade. Mr. Rice and I have also talked about just sticking with the traditional human geography. Both I'm in full support of. Social studies is getting new standards, and they were pushed back from COVID. They should be rolling out pretty soon here. So you can see I wrote them all out in regular, not standard writing. This is how I deciphered all of them. The numbers you see next to them respond to, on page 29, the new ethnic studies standards. So those are those random numbers that you see next to them. Those correlate where I felt those standards could go into the units. Again, I, like Ellen, do a lot of teacher-made curriculum, which I'm fully set for if we do US history or world geography. I have talked with a lot of people outside of here in the high school world, and most teachers do their own curriculum for human geography just because the textbooks don't always do a great job, and you can tailor it more to specifically where the kids are, like Minnesota, or if they wanted to explore other parts of the world. So that's some of that. So what else is in here? Oh yeah, on the back part, I don't remember what page, it talked about what other schools are doing. So I just took some information from the local high schools and wrote out what they're doing in comparison to what we could possibly do. And on here you'll notice, it's on page 35. Notice that they say, okay, this is a semester-long class. Mr. Rice and I have talked about we're on trimesters, so how would that look for us? And we decided that one semester is roughly 2 trimesters worth. So if we were to do human geography, we would run it for 2 trimesters and leave that 3rd trimester for the students to be in an elective or other requirements. So what I have, what questions do we have?
Again, really a lot of great work. I know that Megan's been hit or miss as far as availability, but she's fully supportive of all of these curriculum efforts that are on the table, as well as their recommendations for the companies that they want to purchase from. So.
And you can also read through this packet to read about the math curriculum if you'd like. But it really focuses, it's very similar to how we're teaching math in middle school right now. Right now we're using iReady online and textbook version. So what Miss Megan Hafen and I have talked about, we're looking at the Alex Math program, which is a program that I've been using with students probably for 9 years or so. And my math teacher in high school, middle school, used that program with students. It's an adaptive program, kind of similar in a way to Ms. Heath described, but it's also similar to how our students are currently using iReady. So that program is monitoring the students' progress, and then it's adapting to give the students individualized work that meets them at their level. So that is what the teacher will be assigning as gap filling, individual homework, things like that, additional practice. But then we'll also be using the textbook that correlates with that and is also correlated to Minnesota State Standards of Education. The name of it is in here. It's called like Integrated Mathematics 5.0. I forget what the name of the text is, but you can read about it in the packet. Any questions about this? Oh, next is facility. Back to Mr. Broderick. All right. Is that right? You still want to hear about that, or did we take too much time?
No, I think, but if we can slow down, curriculum questions, this would be great, and then we'll wrap it up with your facilities.
Yeah. Staffing or curriculum questions.
Remind me again, is it like how many period schedule? Like how does it work?
I mean, we have like a 9-period schedule if you count lunch and advisory. So like, for example, a schedule would be period 1, students might have mathematics. I'm making this up because the class order would change.
For sure.
Period 1, they would have mathematics. Period 2, they would have social studies. Period 3, they would have science. Then they would have lunch. After that, they would have their advisory period. At period 6 then would be like English language arts. And then we could think about then period 7 would be like world language is what I would generally recommend. We would like to see, I'd like to see students going 4 years. But if a student doesn't take a world language, then they'd have to take a different elective. Then, chances are period 8 might be a study hall for students unless they're taking an additional elective. And then we'd be talking about like PE, art, and music, things like that. So that would be like 9th grade. And then once you go into 10th grade, we can look at, if all of our students took Phi Ed in 9th grade, then what's 10th grade? What do we want to offer? Art and music or something like that. Kind of do a little bit of a rotation.
So with the idea of using the staff that we have then with the middle school schedule and the high school schedule, it would work that there would be enough time in the day for them to teach then 5 sections, like 2 7th, 2 8th, and 1 9th, and
Yeah.
still have a prep and be able to breathe and eat and all of those
Yeah,
things.
Mr. Broderick is definitely a scheduling expert, and he can speak to that, but on the models that I've tried to put together, that's how I see it working. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, for right now, the way I see that working is currently our middle school teachers teach 2 7th, 2 8th, and they teach an elective course.
2 electives.
2 electives, but in the time frame, it's broken up where that elective could be 1 solid course. So if you're looking at a 5-course catalog, what we will need to do in our staffing school-wide, if we grow into high school or if we continue to grow in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, is add more specialist teachers. And if you add a single specialist teacher, right now, there's gonna be holes in that teacher's schedule, right? And so one of the ways that it could work schedule-wise is removing the electives taught by some of the classroom teachers and filling that elective space with a 9th grade class, so they could teach all their 9th grade classes. And then your electives would move into a specialist taught elective. So that way, if there's a hole in a specialist teacher's course, that then they could fit in those electives. And we did that previously last year with some of our schedules. Mr. Harley Hazel taught team sports and taught some other electives as well with our middle school. And Cecilia Lauerman taught a choir elective to our middle schoolers, and we liked having that multiple perspectives in there, but that's just one way that it could work. It's cool.
So are we gonna limit enrollment to, what's our freshman class cap gonna be? Like, I mean, are we gonna limit our freshman
Yeah, I would-
enrollment to 1 section?
I would suggest that we limit it to 1 section. 18 students generally has you break even with electric bills and some costs. We're looking at 17 with 6 maybes and 1 newbie, but I think everyone would agree with me, it's easier to launch a 9th grade when 17 of our veteran kids,
Yes.
they're WLA grown. I think that it's smart to limit it.
I was thinking originally 1 section, and then as time got on, I thought, what if we had 2 sections? But 1 section is kind of what I was originally.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about how you're gonna manage this space? So for instance, me as a specialist teacher, my schedule's packed right now, and I just don't understand how you're gonna fit more specialist classes in one gym with having a lower school that has a lot more classes.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, a higher need for those types of specialists.
The gym is definitely a limiting factor, right? We have 1. But also not all of the middle and high school physical education does not need to be year
Yeah,
long.
yep. But how will 1 class even fit in there? I mean, there's no time right now.
So if 8th grade didn't have the class for a trimester and high school did, then that could be a swap, as just one example.
And would they again be paired with 6th graders? Or how would
I
you?
mean, I don't know if I can answer that level of scheduling question right now.
Mhm.
What would you recommend as the phy ed teacher, I guess is what I would first ask.
Yeah.
0 hour
0 hour?
before school.
I used to go to 0 hour. I loved 0 hour.
0 hour was the best.
I was a 0-hour kid. I liked
Yeah.
it.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I
Do we
had hockey
provide
practice
transportation
before
for
school.
you?
No, we don't provide
I
transportation.
don't know.
And I don't think that's equitable.
High schools don't, but they don't.
Yeah.
Are we going to provide transportation for our freshmen?
Yes.
So then I think if we're
But
going
if-
to provide
But if they
it,
elect to have 0 hour, then
Yeah.
they transport.
Yeah.
Yes.
but if that's our only option though, then they're not electing it, that's a requirement. So then we would need to provide transportation.
Yeah, part of, and I love the discussions, and I know, like there's uncertainty for people who haven't experienced online learning, but that's part of the benefits of some online learning is that you can supplement those things that, but.
And that maybe just the online learning, they will still have a space to learn in, they don't have to do it at home.
Right.
So that was a question.
Yeah, that was some of the feedback earlier.
Yeah, that's why we would have a study hall every period.
And do we have a hall for studying?
A
Is there a
hall?
space for that?
Yeah, the
There's a
conference.
room for that?
Yeah, I would use my recommendation was the what is currently called the conference room on
Yeah.
the third floor.
And how many does that accommodate?
Right now, Ms. Kerner probably works with 8 students in that space, and it's extremely roomy with 8.
The conference room in the office?
The conference room on the 3rd floor, that's directly across from Miss Mason's room. It's on an angle. I don't know the square footage.
Yeah, I
No, it was 17.
I can show it to you.
You could almost have kids in
12 to
there.
14
12 to 14
Two-thirds
people
of the class.
would make sense to me if you like lined up desks.
There's also the extra room upstairs.
Yeah, that would be a classroom. Yep.
And that's a monitored space as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Students would never be in spaces that are unmonitored.
Do you guys want to talk about kind of facilities? We seem to segue right into that, and then
Yeah, that's perfect, go ahead.
Sure. So, for those of you that have been here for a while, you know that our space has been changing, well, since I got here. I came here 5 years ago, and 5 years ago, we had floor 1 and floor 2. Jolene, you were teaching out of a beautiful gym with carpeting that you couldn't fit a regulation basketball hoop in, and you were making do, right? And then we got this wild idea and we built out 3rd floor. And then all of a sudden we had this awesome space for middle school, because previous to that, middle school taught in a hallway where we had our 6th, our 7th, our 8th, and our 5th graders. And you can imagine how transitions went there with very little space for our bodies. Wasn't the greatest, okay? So we built out 3rd floor, and Jolene was still teaching in a glorified conference room. We had a beautiful 3rd floor. Then we got this idea that we're gonna build this new facility, right? And it started off as a new gym for Jolene, right? And sorry. For our students, not for Jolene, all right? And as those meetings kind of went, all of a sudden that morphed into a 2-story building, and then a 3-story building, and we built it. And it is beautiful. With those 2 buildings combined, we are supposed to be able to get 1,200 students in our building. We all know that would be super tight in the layout that it is right now. But this building has been through change, that building has been through change. We have the space available. It may not be existing in the exact format that it's going to be when we're a full-fledged high school. And it might take some moving and some shuffling and some changing of stuff, but that's what we do as we're a growing school. So when people ask, do we have the space? Yeah, we have the space. It's just about how we manage and move and how we kind of shift some people around. Jolene's amazing gym that she used to have, our former gym, the conference room, right? That went from being a gymnasium to being a single 4th grade classroom to being a split classroom for 3rd grade to being an RTI space and a kindergarten classroom, and the coat rooms have changed. So we've done this before. So the plan is to find our final goal, see how this space works for our final goal, and then build out those stages as we go. What does this look like next year if we're at this sections, and have those plans at the ready so we're ready to go. When we're a gigantic school, we're gonna need another building, we're gonna need another space, but that's not our problem right this second. Because right now we can hold and we can do that. And you know, it takes a little bit of accommodations. I do believe that the gym space is a limiting factor, right? Which is crazy to think about because we just built that place to do that, right? But I know our fantastic gym teachers, not to name anyone's name, right? But have been fighting through the accommodations before. Our FIAD teachers, if you remember, did like 3 years of outdoor education. I know they might not want to go back to that, but we can find ways to utilize other space other than our single room, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what I gotta say about facilities. I mean, if anybody can make the space work, WLA can make the space work because they've done it all along.
Yeah.
Mr. Broderick and Dr. Mortensen, I've seen them both sketch up multiple versions of, let's try these in this space. I attempted to do one as well, which was in that packet I presented a month or two ago. But I've seen multiple drawings out, and each one I see is like, yep, it looks like it could work.
I think the only thing that's been current in this building is the 4 kindergarten classrooms. They got in there, they got first picks, and they have not budged. And that's it. Everyone else has had to move.
And that takes conversations with staff. When we were building our new facility, we were telling everyone about their forever homes and where they're going to be. And we hope that those are forever homes for everybody, but we might need to morph a little bit and make those adjustments as we go, because we know that's what's going to be best for the organization as we move forward. So, all right, that's my spiel. Anything else on facilities? Nope.
Swimming pool, is that?
Any other questions?
We're trying for the swimming pool.
Okay, thank you.
Swimming pool.
We're not. We're not pursuing a swimming pool.
Ice arena.
Yeah.
Shelby has a great story about a swimming pool. I'll tell that another day.
Hey, dry wit's a good thing. As long
Yeah.
as you almost threw that by everybody.
That's right.
I'd just like to.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'd just like to make sure that the board gets their questions answered and they can give a green light to move forward, or a red light, or a yellow light, or whatever. We do have parents out there that will need to look at other options if the board says, still have some more questions. So I think this is the time where the rubber meets the road to figure out what we want to do. We're ready to launch ninth grade.
Yeah, go ahead.
Easy question. Perhaps we've already discussed it, I apologize if we have, but can we talk about, for high school start time, end times for parents and families that are tuning in?
I want it to match.
Want it to match? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it might be, the logistics question would be like, how long do we want our drive lines and things like that to take?
Yeah.
I don't think that the addition of, the 25 high school students would impact it that much. I like to keep the hours the same so that families can bring all of their students at the same times. K-12, the family school.
Yeah. Cool.
Any other questions?
Transportation-wise, is there room for an extra 25 kids with the amount of buses we have? Does it mean adding another bus?
We're going to be adding buses anyway because we're expected to go up another 70 kids.
Okay.
Transportation is a challenge.
Yes, for sure.
Well, being that the majority are returnees, really doesn't add too much to transportation logistics. They just hop back on the same bus, right?
Perhaps.
I don't mean to complicate things, but have we considered like laptops for ninth graders that they would purchase and then continue in throughout high school here? Or are we planning on just, I don't know, if technology has been spoken about, but if online courses are part of that, usually they would own the technology.
I hadn't thought about them purchasing and owning. What I was thinking of is that we would have a similar system to what we have now, which would be one-to-one Chromebooks available for students who are in school. And then students who do not have the access at home would qualify based on criteria like family income and things like that. That's how I was picturing it in my mind, but it's certainly open to board discussion how they want to do that.
And we do have plans in our technology planning and our budgeting meetings to, for additional sections for next year, whether we're going 3 through 8, because currently we're very, very close to 1-to-1, 3 through 8. But we have taken that into consideration, but we'll be adding an additional class.
Other questions, comments?
If kids get their permits at 15, I know like I had a free class. Are we doing?
No, absolutely not. So, it's in that original.
I just meant because mine was free. I know that was like a big perk when I was,
So in that original packet that I presented last time, if you look in there's detailed information about that, but I mean, what I'm proposing is, students are not driving themselves to school, and students are not allowed to park here.
Okay.
Students are not allowed to leave campus to go to lunch or for any other reason unless their parents sign them out. And then what I also proposed in there is that we reconsider that once we add 11th and 12th grade, and it would be students who can earn that in those upper grade levels.
Did we get that first pack? I just looked and I couldn't find it, but my computer's dying. The first packet that you presented, did we get a digital form of that ever?
I certainly shared that with Dr. Mortensen. I would be happy to send that to you.
Can you send that out again?
I was saying, I have no idea where the physical one is, and I couldn't go back and find
I don't know if I
it.
sent it right.
Yeah.
For what I saw at the,
Yeah.
The October.
the meeting.
Yeah.
It's in the board packet, I think, too.
Oh, board packet from October and November?
Or October.
You have received it digitally, but I do not have a problem sending it again.
That'd be great.
I was trying to be nonchalant about it, but yes, you have received it, correct.
That's perfect. I'll admit to receiving it if you'll agree to send it again.
No problem, no problem.
That's the story of my
Any
life
other
right
questions? Just a comment. I think this is really well done, and I'm impressed with the enthusiasm and work that people brought to it. You know, it's pretty persuasive when you have teachers saying, yeah, we can do this. You know, so I just want to thank you for all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Happy to
appreciate it.
answer other questions via email or whatever, and I'll send that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
So it's not in the agenda to do like a formal vote on Green Light Go or any of that sort of thing. Do we need to do a formal vote? Do we just need to do a informal?
I think we do need to do an informal. I couldn't find anything that said you needed to vote.
Okay.
We sort of crossed that bridge 3 years ago when we said we
Yeah.
were going to go ahead and set the table for anything we want to do. But I still think that we need to hear what each board member thinks so that we have a clear message for our stakeholders, staff and families alike.
I'm good with moving forward.
You ready to go?
Should we just go around? Ready to move forward or not?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we're ready.
Ready? Ready? I vote to move forward.
I would vote to move forward.
Forward.
Forward, but I have some personal questions and I need answered, please. I'll make an appointment.
I just want to make a comment about the driver's ed. When I was in school, we had driver's ed. It was our phy ed teacher that did the driver's ed.
Does he do
Gotta be properly
everything?
licensed now.
Cars in the gym.
We'll say
Not
no.
yet.
Not a chance.
Well, Ryan probably get one from the impound lot, right?
Yeah, not a problem. Plenty of seized vehicles up for grabs.
Maybe you could do what my
We do
what my
VR.
dad told me.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
like in the small town he grew up in Fountain City, and we went to the local sheriff, and he just said, "Well, here's the keys to the car. Go ahead and go around the block. If you make it back, you pass."
Nice.
Wow.
I vote to move forward as well for the high school.
I have questions. So of the 8th graders that were questioned, are the 17 that have said yes, like they've already feel like they're for sure going to be here on day one?
I mean, it was like a intent to return type survey, so I guess it's not hard to read. Because we haven't done like returning paperwork for those students yet. We did have one new student apply, and then they'll be getting the offer next week.
So of the 190 new applicants, one was a
One's a
freshman.
newbie.
Yep, I met the family yesterday.
Okay. I guess my biggest concern, I'm not saying no, that I don't want to move forward, we need to move forward, but my biggest concern is the cost offset if, of the 17 that have said yes, if 5 change their mind and we have 12, that it puts us in the red. I mean, 17 puts us in the, you said 18 breaks us even roughly. So I guess that's my biggest hesitation, is just not having enough to sustain it the first year, or for it to not launch. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but if I'm a 7th grader now and I watch the 8th graders go into a freshman class next year and it isn't good, what precedence, like, what am I going to be excited about to stay then to be a freshman? So I guess I want to make sure it's sustainable. Because if it doesn't go well, our next year 8th graders aren't going to be real excited about sticking it out, and then, like, are we going to create a domino effect of it not going well? So that's my hesitation, I guess, just in the numbers part of my brain of if they don't show up.
Looking at
What
it,
does
so
it look like?
there's actually 18 yes, and then there are 4 that I haven't been able to get a hold of yet.
Okay.
So those can,
I would think if some dropped off as we got closer, we could certainly fill those spots with some hard work.
Right.
That wouldn't concern me to fill 5, 6 spots.
And we're not spending any money until July.
Right.
So if we have those numbers,
Correct.
June 30th.
Maybe a little better.
Go
We start
ahead.
doing some reach out to.
If not, well then we
Correct.
can't. I mean, we need to have that number for sure to start spending the money, in my opinion.
And I'm there with you,
Yeah.
I think. Like, I have no quips about saying, yes, let's get it going and fill 20, realistically high school 30, fill 30, and hope that 26 of them show up and we are in the green. So I guess my answer is yes, but I agree with you, like, when it comes down to it and it's time to spend the money, if we don't have
The bodies.
then we need to pause. So,
I can send their paperwork sooner than other grades too.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
we can do
think that
that.
would be wise.
Well, maybe the clear message of, yes, moving forward with high school will help solidify some of that.
For sure, too, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point, yeah.
since there was some concern that the board was a little waffling on it or whatever, so.
Yeah. And then I would encourage admin, and I think Jonas and I talked about this too, like, those 7th and 6th grade families, start having conversations with them now of, like, what is it gonna take for you guys to stay, so that as we build and grow with electives and those kinds of things, we're building off the interests of the kids that we have and trying to appeal to them, so.
And I have feedback from like the survey of what they'd want, and a lot of it was like sports and more extracurriculars.
Got a lot of information to draw on.
So for me, just my brain, like standard operating procedure, to me, sounds like it'd be wise if we perhaps put benchmarks in place, like dates to where the board can go, okay, where are we at now, where are we at now? And then we can have contingency plans or action plans if we're not meeting numbers or we're exceeding numbers. I just think that would be smart. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know who would want to put a timeline together that makes sense, because I don't know enough. But
Yeah.
I think that would be good, just so the board can track, and if we need to act, we can act.
Yeah.
And I can present that in February with collaboration with some of the others.
Awesome.
I would respectfully remind the staff that we are in the board that we opened our middle school with 6 kids. 6. And the board, it was a big risk, and the board knew that there was going to be this cost, and slowly it has grown. We also have our largest ever interest in the lottery of 6th grade incoming, which is a big surprise for us, because that's usually where we lose kids, is between 5th and 6th grade. And as of late, I think we had 28 new 6th graders wanting to come on board.
Wow.
So I think this all bodes well, but I can certainly put together these. My hope is that we will stuff one section of 9th grade with current WLA kiddos. That's my
Yeah.
hope, but
Yeah.
we'll do the journey.
Maybe to piggyback, like, off what you said with, like, the goals and that, I'm assuming you're talking just for the launch of 9th grade, but I think it would be interesting and helpful to think into the future too, about what about 11th,
Right.
On up,
Mhm.
10th, 11th, 12th, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And benchmarks and adding sports, I think sports is, right, any extracurricular for the kids is gonna be a big draw.
Yeah,
To have those timelines would be helpful.
I gotcha. Thank you.
All right. Reviewing the bylaws.
You're not gonna meet?
Yeah.
Curiosity, you want to help?
Mainly just annually, we're supposed to, as a board, review the bylaws, and so I hope you took time to read through those bylaws. So I don't know if you guys want to discuss the bylaws, or if you had any questions, or how you want to do it, but just prior to today, just hopefully you read through this.
Yes.
And if not, please do.
And I think we do that. If you haven't read them, be sure you do. Typically, we look at them in July, so if there's discussion points, we will revisit them in July. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I did see my name by that.
Executive Director search update, I kind of already did that with the beginning board report. So he has accepted, he will begin July 1st, we're excited. He's excited. I did forget something in my board report though that I will throw in now, even though it's not really, but it's fine. It is Minnesota National Education Assistance Week. Our Paraprofessionals Week, so I do want to take time as a board to recognize all of our wonderful and fabulous educational assistants, paraprofessionals at WLA. Staff shortage is a real thing, and we rely on paras to help with way more than they probably helped with before. So shout out to them. They're the ones that are in the thick of it all day, every day. So we, as a school leader, I know that we would not survive without them. So happy Minnesota Educational Assistance Week to them. So just wanted to take a second to acknowledge them. All right, motion to cap, not close grade levels. Do we need to, we can't undo something, something we did, so we just.
No, we just move forward.
Okay.
It's on the first page under instructional leadership. Is the motion that I'm looking for.
All right. I will make a motion that the board cap enrollment for as is for kindergarten, first grade, third grade, and 8th grade. Also recommend that we cap enrollment in second grade at 22, fourth grade through 7th grade at 22.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second for the capping of all grades with the numbers previously stated. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I would make a motion to amend the school calendar to reflect the early release that was held on December 21st, 2023.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And then, do you want to talk about the two?
Yeah, we have hired Logan Daughter, Mr. Logan Daughter, for 4th grade substitute teacher for the remainder of the school year. He's right out of college. I think his parents helped come in and set up his classroom. Is that correct? I love that. As well as I know Allison Gustav, who's a paraprofessional who just came on board. So those are the two contracts we're looking to ratify.
All right, make a motion to ratify the employment agreements for Logan Daughter and Allison Gustav.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, so a lot of good conversation tonight, a lot of good information. I think I feel better with, and this was all very good information. Thank you to, the ladies left already, but thank you to everyone who put time and effort into presenting tonight and giving us a clearer vision of what it could look like. So, yeah.
Future items. I have two.
Okay.
Mr. Sheik brought up a food service update and then benchmarks for the high school. Would be two of those things. I'm sure Jolene will have some new initiatives that she'll want to talk about.
All right, our next regular scheduled board meeting will be.
I was just gonna say, if anyone wants to go see the near completed mural, I'll be happy to meet
Yes.
down there after the meeting.
I'm in. Our regular scheduled board meeting for February will be held Thursday, February 22nd, 2024, back here in this room at 5:30 p.m. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And I almost got it done by 7.